Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Hi, can you hear me well? Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Greetings, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. By the way, my name is Al Grace Fuentes, one of the students facilitators from MSU IIT, and I'll be your master of ceremony for this closing program. I hope that we are all safe and well amidst all the challenges that we're facing recently. And now that we are just about to officially end this program, on behalf of the team, I would like to thank everybody, especially the participants, for sharing with us your precious time and effort. And at this point in time, to officially start, let's have the national anthems and university hymns.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, helas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang binirang, tuyag na ng magiting, sa manluluping, di ka pasisigil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mo pagaw, ay hinagang tulakaw. Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, wadah kaum muda bertakwa, berbakti untuk nusa dan bangsa dan berjiwa satria. Wujudkan sarjana muslim berakhlak mulia, tetap percaya pada diri sendiri, berguna bagi masyarakat dan negara, dan sivitas akademika. Kami Hizbun-Nas Muda Muhammadiyah dan selalu setia mencerdaskan kehidupan bangsa demi negara kita, Republik Indonesia. Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, wadah kaum muda bertakwa, berbakti untuk nusa dan bangsa dan berjiwa satria. Wujudkan sarjana muslim berakhlak mulia, tetap percaya pada diri sendiri, berguna bagi masyarakat dan negara, dan sivitas akademika. Kami Hizbun-Nas Muda Muhammadiyah dan selalu setia mencerdaskan kehidupan bangsa demi negara kita, Republik Indonesia.
Hello, everyone. Are you all excited? I bet we are all very much excited for today's closing program. And I know for sure that you cannot wait to listen to the learnings and reflections from our participants and students facilitators for for this project. But before that, let's first listen to the message from UMY's head of the department, Miss Andy Wirantaka. Miss Andy, the virtual floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Grace Wentes. Actually, I'm a man, actually. So,
I'm very sorry.
oh, it's okay, it's okay. But it is his first time a person called me Mrs. Okay, but it's okay, totally okay. But I would say sorry because somehow my camera turns to be like problematic. So I cannot give you the clear vision of the display of the camera. Okay, thank you, Grace. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody, the participants. First of all, I'd like to greet our Philippines friends by using their language Tagalog. Correct me if it is wrong. Magandang hapon, everybody. Kamusta ka? Selamat siang semuanya. Apa kabar? I searched it on in Google and I hope that the meaning is appropriate or correct. Okay, first of all, I'd like to, on behalf of English Language Education Department, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, I would like to thank all of you, especially the Honorable Professor Rohani M. Dorogongan, PhD, the Dean of College of Art and Social Science, MSU IIT, and then Professor Amelia T. Puan, PhD, the Dean of College of Education, MSU IIT, dear lecturers in both university, the headmasters, and also the participant. So on behalf of English Language Education Department, we would say very thank to all of you for joining the program for the beginning until this pace, meaning that we have some months to conduct this program. And I hope that this cooperation will continue and we will have another program in the future. And I hope that this program will give the benefits and advantages for the parties who are involved. I think that's all. Thank you very much to all of you. To close this, I would say thank you, matur nuwun, terima kasih, and salamat. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for that, sir. I am so sorry to call you Miss. It's my bad. I'm very sorry. All right. At this point in time, everybody will also listen to a message coming from MSU IIT, which will be given to us by the Dean of College of Arts and Social Sciences, Professor Rohani M. Dorogongan. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Grace. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. The College of Arts and Social Sciences of Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology, is very honored and privileged for this project collaboration. We take pride in all what we do, especially when it is done through strong partnership and international collaboration and equally committed like you. Academic excellence, research collaboration, and community service are some of our major priorities. Through this, we are assured of producing globally competent, socially responsible, culturally sensitive, and humanistic scholars. Furthermore, our expertise, research experience, and innovations will be meaningless if not shared with universities like you. When we started discussing this project, the global health crisis was a challenge, and so with our connectivity. However, we both learned best ways to manage sort of challenges. We know very well there are more of this kind, such as a rapid changing world and advanced technology. As an academic institution, we continue to adapt and modify approaches, sustain their actions, and discover more strategies. We are doing our best to conduct more researches and explore international cooperation and exchanges. We want to remain relevant and avoid becoming obsolete. Teaching and learning English language vis-a-vis technology is a welcome challenge. Indeed, we wish to develop more skills, knowledge to help not only our institution propel to greater heights, but other institutions as well. We do this when we join forces, especially with you, University Muhammadiyah. We are looking forward to a future that is exciting, productive, and transformative projects. Congratulations for a job well done. Congratulations, UMY. Congratulations, MSU IIT. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am. What about a round of applause, a virtual round of applause to our university heads? Thank you so much. And I know that you are all very excited to hearing a message coming from our keynote speaker this afternoon. And I won't hold you any longer for that. At this point, let me give the virtual floor to our keynote speaker, MSU IIT's Dean of College of Education, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Amelia Tibuan.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Please give me time to share my screen. Oh. Hi, good afternoon again to everyone. So I'd like to congratulate MSU IIT, specifically the College of Arts and Social Sciences, Dr. Rohani Durgungan and her team, and also the team of Andy, Professor Andy Wirantaka of UMY for organizing this activity. It is really great to know that with the use of technology, we are all connected. Even though we cannot travel Indonesia to Philippines or Philippines to Indonesia, we're still connected. So that's the power of technology. And for the participants, I want to congratulate all of you for finishing the course. I'm very sure it's a very tough one to attend synchronous session and as well as completing all the activities. And I'm very sure that all of you really give your best in finishing all the outputs. And I'm sure that it's not only for the output, but you are also thinking about planning ahead on how to implement it. So finishing the course, I guess, maybe for more than a month, is already an indication that you are really giving your best. And at the same time, each one of you who attend to this training program is already a leader. Oh, I'm not so sure if I can. Oh, okay. So for this afternoon, this is a very sharing session with you. I would like to share to you the OECD Learning Compass. And also, since I'm one of the Intel Education Visionary, I'd like to share to you the Intel Education Transformation Model also. Okay, I guess it's very clear that Indonesia and Philippines have almost the same picture on teaching during the pandemic. The struggle is real, right? Continuing teaching, even though we have difficulty on how to keep in touch with our students and also how to deliver the same as what we have done before when we do face-to-face teaching. So maybe some of you in the Philippines we're doing modular instruction and some schools are doing online. And in Indonesia, it's still the same. You have those learning packets and you try to deliver it to your students. So the struggle is really real, no? Based on this research, the results of this research, it shows that in Indonesia, you have what we call the internet subsidy. And based on the result, parents complain about the internet data plan subsidy which is not evenly distributed to Indonesia rural areas. And around 70%, I guess there are about 1,000 participants on this study, complain that they keep having internet connection problem. And they have difficulty controlling activities of students since they didn't have face-to-face class. So this result is similar with it here in the Philippines. And also in the Philippines, we could also see this one. There are groups who say, why do we push teaching during the pandemic when mental health is an issue? And then with that, administrator tried to answer that problem, where with the use of technology, supporting DepEd launches mental health hotlines for teachers and students. So you could see here how important, and we could also feel right now we are doing online conference, how important is technology helping us on teaching during this pandemic. So how do we define the new normal for education right now? I guess everyone will agree. Before, in school, decisions are made by selected group of people in the curriculum and other things. And then students learn by listening or maybe participating if they are called by the teacher. And then the principal or the school heads manage the school, and the curriculum is linear. And students are assessed through tests. As we experienced during this pandemic teaching, everyone is, I guess here are educators. We could see right now that decisions are shared responsibility. As you could see, maybe in university like us, we have to make decision. We have to consider our LGU, local government units, the community where we are, and as well as our students on how to proceed on teaching during this pandemic. And I guess we cannot go back on a decision will also be made by selected groups. So we could see the opportunity of sharing responsibility on making decision. And students are active participants right now. As you can see, with the use of social media, students could easily express to their teachers, not only to their teachers, but as well as to their administrators on how to improve the delivery of learning. And not only that, in the primary level, because I have also visited schools, in hinterland schools, we could see that students express that since I'm studying my lesson on my own, I cannot learn this. So they could easily express to their learning centers, teachers, on how they could proceed with their printed module. So learning process is very important right now. And as well as students' well-being are valued, not maybe only students, but as well as teachers' well-being are also valued. So, and lastly, students are assessed using varied types of assessment tools. So that's the new normal. With that experience that we have, we cannot forget on how we teach face-to-face, but we will maximize the opportunity that we have experienced right now in this time of teaching. So with that, I'd like to, what could be the future in learning? So I'd like to share to you, I hope you could hear the audio about the OECD Learning Compass. Maybe this is only 2 minutes video.
Just as a compass orients travelers, the OECD Learning Compass indicates how students can navigate through an uncertain and rapidly changing ecosystem to help shape the future we want. It is an evolving learning framework that helps create a common language and understanding about broad education goals. Co-created by policymakers, researchers, school leaders, teachers, and students from around the world, The OECD Learning Compass defines the competencies, made up of knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values, that students need to fulfill their potential and to contribute to the well-being of their communities and the planet. When a student holds the Learning Compass, he or she is exercising agency, the capacity to set a goal, reflect, and act responsibly to effect change, to act rather than be acted upon. But the student is not alone in this. He or she is surrounded by peers, parents, teachers, and the community, all of whom interact with and guide the student towards well-being. The Learning Compass shows that students need some core foundations before they can set off towards well-being. These include not only literacy and numeracy, but also data and digital literacy, physical and mental health, and social and emotional foundations. To shape their future and the future of society, learners need to develop certain transformative competencies. These are defined as the ability to create new value, reconcile tensions and dilemmas, and take responsibility for their own actions. These competencies are developed through a cyclical learning process, anticipating, acting, reflecting. As learners become more adaptive and reflective and take actions accordingly, they continually improve their way of thinking. While there may be many visions of the future we want, the well-being of society is a shared destination. The OECD Learning Compass orients learners of all ages towards that better future.
Okay, so thank you very much. So I hope you learned something from that video, the OECD Learning Compass. Later we'll have an open forum. So I know that each one of you maybe have developed materials. So we have to think about on that shared destination, which is the well-being. No? The Learning Compass emphasizes the need for students to learn, to navigate by themselves. So we have to reflect on the materials that we are using or the materials that we are developing, in what way that students will regulate their activities, or does it give opportunity for them with your learning material that they could plan, they could set their goal, they could reflect and put action on what they learned. So the Learning Compass give emphasis for students to explore themselves through unfamiliar contexts, but at the same time develop the problem-solving skill and as well as creativity in solving problems. This is very important. So why it is a Learning Compass? Because students are going to find their direction in a meaningful and responsible way instead of simply receiving instruction or direction from their teachers. That's why it is very important as we think about our learning materials and as well as our assessment that would not promote copy and paste from the internet. Be very creative in such a way that our assessment, where students could find a way on how to be creative in giving their answers. So it's very important that we will going to help our students to develop creativity as well as problem-solving skill using that Learning Compass. So as you could see, so that we could develop that well-being. So the core foundation is numeracy and literacy. I will share later a teacher that we have trained here in College of Education. They have a problem in their school and they try to address this skill, the numeracy and literacy. And not only that, for now, as we have experienced, we see the importance of digital literacy and the importance of digitization. So data and digital literacy is very important the physical and mental health, and the social and emotional foundation. That's why as a teacher, we also need to think about the number of activities that we are giving, and as well as the type of activity where it promotes creativity and problem solving. So this is another thing that I would like to share to you as a teacher who finished this course. I'm very sure you are a leader. So this is that education transformation model by Intel Education, where the heart of it is student success. As we have heard a while ago about the learning compass, we want students to be successful in learning those core skills. And student agency, where they set their goal, they reflect and act on what they have learned. So it is very important that as a leader, we need to think about the following. Like, for example, the materials that you are using right now, if we will go back to how we teach before, where we could only teach a content face-to-face and inside the classroom. Right now, we know that digitization plays an important role for learners to be successful, to learn that important content, maybe in English or in language learning. Digitization is very important. So therefore, it is very important for teachers like us to think about on how to lead in our school, the recognizing ICT as essential to learning and teaching, and how to increase access to internet, maybe a collaboration with a private sector. Later, we're going to share a story of a teacher who worked on this, that to maximize of what we have learned in a certain training. And we know that our school maybe don't have that kind of maybe resources. We could think about how to increase our access through collaboration with other agency or private sector. We can work with local government to provide support for digital learning initiative. Another one is the curriculum and assessment. We know that in each country, in Philippines and Indonesia, we have curriculum standards, and teacher is very important on how to implement those curriculum standards. So we want to ensure that in implementing that curriculum standard, it ensures students gain the skills and knowledge to successful in the classroom. Teachers use digital content, tools, resources, and platforms throughout the curriculum. What we have experienced right now, how important it is to have digital content. Digital learning to be relevant to each individual, including their level of education, language, and accessible for children, even with disability. So professional learning is also very important, where as teachers, we should have time to talk to our peers, meaningful conversation with our peers about the things that we have implemented, as well as our lesson plan. The output that you have in this training, you may have shared it to your colleagues when you go back to your schools, and then reflect on how you implement it. I hope the things that you have developed in this course is not only up to the certificate of completion. Try to think about how to implement it in a real classroom, and try to think about what happened, collect data, and then reflect what happened to the student. If we have student agency, there's also what we call teachers agency, where we set that learning goal. We reflect what happened in the classroom. We try to listen to each of students' reflection, and they try to act and do the lesson again. Reflect, implement, and then try to revise the lesson, and then implement it again, collect data, listen to your student. teachers engage with students to develop achieving learning plans in the home environment and seek student feedback to improve that learning methods. So professional learning where it doesn't happen only during this time, maybe attending online course such as like this. Professional learning right now have also changed. Like we have professional online community. Maybe you're a member of a Facebook group of teachers. There are a lot of Facebook group right now, or maybe WhatsApp group where you could talk about your lesson, your plan, and then during your implementation, you try to reflect on it, revise, and then try to revise your plan, implement it again, reflect, and then revise. So professional learning happens also in your school with your co-teachers and as well as with your students. So an ongoing professional learning community like the school-based learning community where you are there, you can build your own capacity how to improve curriculum design and address the problem of your students as you implement your material. So here, I'd like to share to you one case that we have with our teacher when we train them here in our university, where after the training, we provide support with them on how to implement the things that they have learned in student-centered math and science pedagogy. And they implement the lesson with their co-teachers in school. And then they have the post-lesson critique from their administrator. And then after that post-critique, they try to revise their plan and then implement it again, critique, and then try to revise it again. Okay. So by the way, the school is very far from Iligan City, and it's an hinterland school where the community have difficulty on accessing digital resources, but the teacher have done something in their school.
Some say at the farthest ends of the earth, that is where the brightest stars of the night sky are born. And it is the mission of Science Teacher Academy for the regions to seek these bright stars, fuel innovation, and recognize their star power. Balogo Elementary School, one of the last mile schools in the country. Now, an oasis of learning. But the journey was never easy.
I grew up from a typical barangay community where life is truly challenging.
It is in this environment that Mr. Epigenio Cagas Pagar and Mrs. Paz Francis Pagar established the school.
He used the Sitio Chapel first as their first classroom. Later, he availed his GSIS and Pag-ibig loan to purchase this lot to be used as the school site. So eventually, this campus emerged with only one classroom used for grade 1 and grade 2. Kaawa-awa talaga ang sitwasyon. Even the classroom don't have, literally not conducive to learning.
When Mrs. Pagar retired, her son-in-law, Rex, took the helm together with the daughters of the founders.
Starting 2007, we captured the 3 essential aspects, which is now not just focus on quality, but we give emphasis also to access and governance. Since then, we bravely implement innovations, particularly on our advocacy on literacy.
Through Science Teacher Academy for the regions, a program of the DOST Science Education Institute that boosts the capability of teachers to deliver quality science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education throughout the regions of the country. He was empowered to lead the transformation of the school and its teaching practices, innovating by creating an active and supportive learning environment where students are fully engaged and are taught values and skills critical to facing the multifaceted challenges of the modern world. Ideas that go beyond the four walls of the classroom, across the community, and throughout the country.
Project STAR continually refueled our expertise.
Together with his fellow teachers, they emphasized first-hand experience and creating a lasting impact on students.
We were able to raise children with minds who are responding to the challenges that's happening around them. They are aware of their roles, particularly on how they could participate in nation building, in addressing regional or global issues, in the issue of environmental problems. The children are already leading with their fellows on tree growing, waste segregation, waste disposal, and processing activities.
But it was never a lone effort.
The entire biosphere of Balago Elementary School composed of a range of key players starting from the children as well as entrepreneurs, corporations, non-government organizations, local government units, national line agencies, universities. We already involved the community, barangay council. We invited our fellows, Baloguhanons, living outside the country to help us. So each of them supports our school. So because we've done it right, we were able to create a diversified pool of resources.
Together, they established projects like the STAR Teaching Learning Studio, a classroom-turned laboratory, science and math library, and ICT Center in one. All these efforts led to tremendous success.
Our school is already a zero non-reader school. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng aming mag-aaral, grade 1 to grade 6, marunong silang lahat bumasa. As to achievement, 2014 to 2017, number 1 kami sa NAT result in the whole Bukidnon. As to competitions, we always took lead in everything, particularly in the Metrobank Mathematics Challenge. As you could see now, it is totally 360 degrees different from.
So with that sharing, I lost my presentation. I will not finish the video. I hope you learned something from that, where we trained a teacher, and then after the training, he tried to figure out on how to implement it in his community, where he established a professional learning community with his co-teachers, 7 of them, working together. They know that they have minimal resources in their school, so sustainable resourcing was being implemented, where they tried to tap all the resources, their community, their alumni, so that they could transform that classroom with no instructional resources into a science classroom, an ICT-enabled classroom, because they only have, I guess, 4 classrooms in that community. So with that, starting, because we trained a teacher 2013 or 2014, and until now, because of their performance, they get a lot of support from their mayor. They try to improve their roads so that during rainy days, students could still, their students or their learner could still go to school because they have improved the access from their home to their school. So I would like to challenge everyone, every teacher who is here. You are a leader, and then you could work more for your students in such a way that do not work alone, work with your colleague. Okay, so I'll try to continue with my presentation. So professional learning is very important, and it will not happen only for training like this. Professional learning could be done with your students, where as you implement your lesson, as you listen to the output of your students and share it with your colleague in a school, you try to understand who are your learners in your school, what are the resources in the community, and then based on that, evidence-based practices, and conduct valid research and evaluation to assess result. You could propose a program that could promote student-centered program in such a way that they will be able to develop those core skills as mentioned by the learning compass that I have discussed a while ago. So as you work or as you implement what you have learned in this training, you may want to share what happened with your trainers maybe, or with your participants in this training, and also share it with your principal, share it with your parents, and try to identify some things that you need to improve so that with the cycle of continuous improvement will happen, and innovation with that research and evaluation, innovation will happen if we try to reflect, act, and then replanning again. So with the things that we have done in our school, you as a leader, we could propose a policy that align to facilitate innovation, accountability, and the development of those important skills for our students. Practical policies, maybe it's a school policy or classroom policy that support effective use of technology to support teaching and learning. So with that policy, actually, maybe as a teacher, that policy that you implement in your own classroom, you may give different scaffold for every student so that you could promote excellence in teaching. And if you are maybe as a leader in your school, maybe a principal or an officer in charge in your school, every teacher also needs a different scaffolding so that excellence or innovation will happen in your school. So the last important thing in that circle is leadership, where it is essential to think about digital age learning culture, as you could see how important it is into digitization. We want to ensure that instructional innovation focused on continuous improvement of digital age learning. Let's try to model the frequent and effective use of technology in teaching English, and as well as we want to provide learner-centered environment equipped with good content, and as well as appropriate technology and also appropriate learning resources to meet the individual and diverse needs of learners. And we want to ensure or promote, participate in a global learning community that stimulate creativity and promote digital age collaboration, like what we are doing right now with Indonesia and Philippines. And then another one is excellence in professional practice, where we ensure ongoing professional growth in maybe in technology fluency, the appropriate use of technology to support learning, and facilitate and participate in learning communities that stimulate or nurture us, administrators, faculty, on the use of maybe appropriate use of technology that promote students' life skills, like what we are discussing a while ago. And then as leader, we want to model effective communication and collaboration among stakeholders using digital tools, and as well as let's try to stay abreast of educational research and emerging trends regarding effective use of maybe language teaching or appropriate approaches to promote student-centered approaches in teaching English or language, new technologies to support potential improvement of student learning. Systemic improvement is very important, where we will lead purposeful change to maximize achievement of learning goals through appropriate use, or maybe thinking about appropriate content and the appropriate use of technology. Always remember that technology is not magic. Teachers are. You are the magic. So think about the content and try to map it out with that technology, the vast resources of technology that we have right now. Try to map it with our content and try to think about the appropriate use of technology. Always remember that we will purposeful use of technology in our classroom is very important. And always remember that we are the curriculum designer and we are the magic. We will going to prepare our learners for their future. We don't know what's the next problem, right? But what is very important right now for all of us teachers, we have to prepare ourselves. Maybe there's another pandemic. We are managing coronavirus right now. It's become endemic. Maybe we are living with the virus right now. But maybe there's more problem, and we have prepared. We already prepared as teachers, and as well as the students that we also prepared them. We have good digital content, and we are all ready. We could minimize the problem of no interaction in online learning, no interaction with the digital content, or no digital content. So I hope each one of us in this room are challenged to, let's give our best for our student. Let's always give our best as a leader. Let's inspire and promote excellence in teaching whatever content that we are right now. So it's really in our hands on how do we implement what we have learned in this training, and how could we use what we have learned and then lead our co-teachers when we go back in our school. So good afternoon, everyone, and I hope I welcome questions after this presentation. Thank you very much.
Let's give a virtual round of applause to our keynote speaker, Professor Amelia Tibuan. Thank you very much, Mom. That was a mind opener and that was truly inspiring. And now to accommodate your questions, our questions, I'll give the virtual floor to our program moderator from MSU IIT, Associate Professor Irish May F. De Luna. The virtual floor is yours, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon, El Grace, and good afternoon to our participants. Good afternoon as well to Dr. Ami Buan. Thank you very much, ma'am, for that very insightful discussion about teacher leadership. And I believe that's very relevant, especially now in this very challenging times. And I hope that our participants this will be your opportunity for your questions to our keynote speaker. I hope to see some hand raises or perhaps reactions. Or maybe if you would want to chat your questions, then feel free to type in your questions to our chat box. Anyone? Or maybe I should just start the ball rolling and just to warm up the floor. Ma'am Emmy, my question to you is, one of the most striking slides that you had earlier was about the visionary leadership. I believe this has been more like a buzzword, especially now during the 21st century teaching learning process. But ma'am, I would like you to perhaps inspire our participants in answering the question, what do you think are the qualities that a visionary leader should possess, especially now during during this most challenging of times? Ma'am Emmy?
Okay. A visionary leader inspire and facilitate or listen to the colleagues and as well as the stakeholders. The vision is very clear to all of us, and then maybe create a climate where everyone could talk, and as well as we will maximize the use of resources. And right now, what is happening right now is digitization is very important. Engage in ongoing process to develop, implement, and communicate also the strategic plans aligned to a shared vision with the community, and advocate, or how do you call that? Maybe participate policies, programs, and maybe involve the community that we are, and then either you give support, funding support, implementation of your program and that strategic plan. I guess it is very important to look at what's ahead, and then how do you plan your community. And this is not only you as a leader, but everyone is involved in attaining that goal. So it is very important that everyone knows where you are going.
I like that when you said that leadership is not about you, but it's essentially about the community, about the students, the school in general, the immediate community and all that. Therefore, everybody should be all together, should understand where you are going, and they should understand the vision as well. Thank you for that, Ma'am Ami. Do we have other questions from our participants? As I said, you can you can press the raise hand button, or you could type in your questions in our chat box. And Ma'am Ami, I also like that you highlighted the case of Balogo Elementary School, because it has proven us that teachers who are fueled with passion and compassion, regardless of the lack of resources, of the remoteness of their location, could eventually transcend beyond the challenges of the times. What I mean to say is that if a teacher is rightfully fueled with passion and compassion and with the right collaborators, then eventually they can be productive still and rise up to the challenges. We have here one question from Miss Jackie of Indonesia. Ma'am Amelia, the example that you gave about being a visionary was a good one. It shows that being a teacher is not easy. There's a lot of things that we have to do. And the question is, what would you say if aspiring teachers find it discouraging? Like we could not deny the fact that there are many challenges that discourage even the novice teachers or even the most experienced ones. So, Miss Amy or Ma'am Amy, what would you say to those who are aspiring teachers who find it discouraging?
Yeah, I guess that is very important to recognize those teachers, because there are also teachers who teach because of the salary. So maybe with that, what is very important is, as what I have mentioned a while ago, that it is very important that we have a community. So therefore, mentoring is very important. Maybe we need to, that teacher, for example, a certain case of teacher who is demotivated to teach, and as well as demotivated to write a good plan. Mentoring is very important. And mentoring is not about telling her to do this and do this and do this. You need to find a way, in such a way that the teacher own the plan. So therefore, you have to know where the teacher is good about, and then try to start on that aspect, and then lead the teacher or help her in such a way that the thing that they have implemented in their classroom, they own it. And since they own it, they will be motivated to do more. So the first step on guiding them, the thing that they can do, and then guiding them to work more. What is very important is we try to know what are their skills, and then start on it. And then after starting on it, motivate them to do more. Thank you, Jackie, for that question. I hope I have answered your question, Jackie.
Yeah, we have a really good follow-up for Miss Jackie. Ma'am Amy, teacher salary is one of the motivating or demotivating factors. And I must agree with that as well. Thank you, Miss Jackie. What about our other participants? Do you have other questions for Ma'am Amy? Oh, Ma'am Amy, we also have student participants here, although much of their involvement in the project is really facilitating, no? Helping us in the facilitation of the entire webinar series. Perhaps we have questions as well from our students. And these students, I would like to assume, would like to venture on teaching also in the future. Do we hear questions from our students? Yes. Again, questions from our students?
I actually agree with Jackie that salary is demotivating, but what is very important is recognizing, not maybe on salary, but other things that will motivate them to do more.
Oh, there's another follow-up from Miss Jackie. It's challenging being a teacher, but a lot of time, it's a lot of fun. I agree. If only pre-service teachers would understand that, right? What about our partners from Indonesia? Do we have questions? From our students? Our participants from Indonesia, teacher participants, do we have questions, please? And of course, our teacher participants from the Philippines. Do we have questions for Ma'am Amy? I have another question about technology, Doc Ami. Do you think, especially now, given the condition, even in Indonesia or in the Philippines, not a lot of locations have really good internet connectivity, or perhaps they may not even have gadgets or equipment to allow online education, online teaching and learning. Do you think technology is still a boon or a bane to today's society? And how do you think we could inspire teachers to eventually embrace technology in the long run?
Yeah, we have different types of technology that could help them in the classroom or on what we are doing right now. I guess my message is it's very important to invest on technology, because if this will happen again, then we are ready. Invest in technology. At the same time, if we invest on it, it is very important that we have evaluate the use of that in our community. Like, for example, in that community, radio, handheld radio could be used if it is a pandemic. Then where they create learning centers, and then we could think about it depends on what type of technology that they will use. So, for example, teaching reading in a certain subject, and then in the classroom you could teach it by modeling it, right? But they could still practice that at home when they have that very simple device where they could play it with their parent and then play it again, and then stop and play it again, though, so they could maximize the use of technology. So what is very important is identify appropriate technology in your place. I've been visiting schools, school with limited electricity, and maximize the use of solar panel, and use appropriate technology in their place. So I guess it depends on what type of technology that you could maximize in your community. And before you invest, we have to plan ahead on how do we maximize it in our area. It's not about, again, it's more about curriculum design and how do we maximize the use of that technology. Again, technology is not magic, but curriculum designer is very important.
Thank you, Ma'am Ami. We have here questions. One is from one of the facilitators from MSUIIT, Ms. Lynn Rose Henon. Hi, Ma'am Ami. Thank you for the substantial input and for sharing concrete examples. With the new challenges that we are confronted with, the COVID-19 pandemic, how do we define excellence, or what is our yardstick of excellence in the context of language teaching and learning?
Yeah, I guess that's one thing that I need to also giving emphasis of, no? So as a community, for example, you are in a school or you're in a community, you have an expert of an English teacher. As a community of teachers, you have to establish that metrics, okay? And then how do we attain, how do we help our students so that they could be successful in attaining that metric that you have established? I am not an expert of your field, but that is my suggestion, that if you are a content expert, as a community, you have to establish it. And then as a community, your curriculum must be planned in such a way that students could attain that important skill in language teaching, for example.
We have one question from Silmi of Indonesia. How is profession as a teacher considered in the Philippines?
Okay, I guess for now, teacher is because what year was that? We have, it's very important about the salary, right? That's one factor on how they consider also. So why do students enroll maybe teaching, land as a teaching profession. So as you could see right now in the Philippines, we have a good salary right now. And as well as teachers, like in the pandemic, we are the frontliners. So therefore, as a profession, like in Indonesia, I could say that there are a lot of future teachers who want to be a teacher because we are respected by our community. And because of what we are doing right now in the pandemic on how we innovate, I guess the community, as we engage with our community, they have all the community members, the barangay captain, the mayors, and all those things work well with teachers. So we have a good reputation as a teacher here in the Philippines. And I'm sure it's the same with Indonesia, right? But maybe in Indonesia you have bigger salary than us, but we have good salary right now.
And then we have a few interactions from some of our participants. We have from Christy of the Philippines. Right now, DepEd is providing SIM card. This is in connection to the technology that Ma'am Ami was talking about earlier. She said that DepEd is providing SIM cards where data connection is already free, together with free call that provides free call and text, so the teachers will be able to communicate to their students aside from purely using Messenger to reach them. We also have one from a student in Indonesia. I always found digitalization and evolution into 4.0 as a proning problem in our country. It's nice to hear a case that involves that issue in Ma'am Amelia's presentation. And then we also have one from El Grace of the Philippines. It is saddening that some language teachers aim to work abroad because the salary in the Philippines is terrible. Well, to some. And what else? We have, another student from Indonesia. We have mentioned several things about technology in this session. That makes me wonder, do teachers have to really use technology? Wow, that's an interesting follow-up question, Ma'am Ami. Do we really have to embrace technology? Perhaps this would be our last question for now.
My answer is yes. It's what is very important is you have to map the technology, how to maximize this technology to support the development of skill. Like, for example, in English, maybe the writing and the speaking skill. And how do we maximize the use of technology? So, for example, in video making, so how if we try to map out when students make use of video and then learn that important skill in speaking and maybe in writing. So I guess what is very important is how do we map out the capability of technology and as well as the competency. So if we could map that out, then use technology. If we can't, then don't use technology. Okay. So
Thank you very much.
It's very important to know the appropriate use of technology.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ami, and thank you to our participants. Just to reiterate some of the highlights of the talk. One is that curricula, teachers, professional development, and school environment should all work for student success and, more importantly, for student agency, so that students at the end of their programs, they can navigate on their own. Also, secondly, when we lack resources, then we should learn to tap our social capital. This means that we have to explore public-private partnerships that would basically benefit everyone in the community. A case in point is the case of Balugo. which has proven us that teachers have to be competent and they have to be fueled with the right compassion and passion, so that they should partner with the right collaborators so that they eventually transcend beyond the challenges of a lack of resources in their remote location. And third, professional development programs should likewise harness teacher agency, not just necessarily for certificates of completion. This means that we have to reflect, implement the practices, reflect again whether this works or not, and then re-implement and so on. This only means that we need to see the real changes on the ground, and that the professional development program should really help eventually not only the teachers, but the students and the community in general. And at the nucleus of systemic environment, digital age learning, and excellence in professional practice is a visionary leader. It is but fitting to mention the quote of Jeff Goldstein just to end this: "The teachers today create ripples in time that extend to generations yet unborn, not just impact in the here and now, but in the here and forever." May our participants be the ripples that create positive change within their learning environments. And remember, just like what Doc Amy has said, technology is not magic. We are. Thank you very much. And Doc Amy, we owe you so much. And thank you very much for a very insightful presentation. And at this juncture, we would like to present the certificate of appreciation to our keynote speaker. May I request the facilitator to please show us the certificate. For me to read the citation, Project Lit, or Language Instruction and Technology, would like to present the certificate of participation to Professor Amelia T. Buwan, PhD, an acknowledgement of her participation as invited speaker of Project Lit, Empowering Teachers Through Contextualized English Language Teaching webinar series, given during the closing ceremony held on January 7, 2002, signed by the chairperson of Project Lit from UMY, chairperson of the Project Lit from MSU IIT, and the respective deans, Eko Perwanti of Indonesia and Rohani Darugongan of MSU IIT. Everyone, I'd like to request for a virtual round of virtual applause for Dr. Amy T. Buwan. Thank you very much, Ma'am Amy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to our participants who also shared their comments and questions to our speaker. Elle, over to you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Oh, I would like to request, sorry, Elle, I'd like to request everyone for a photo op with Doc Amy. Doc Amy, I hope you're still with us. And Kuya Romel, kindly help us with the photo op. Everyone, switch on your videos, please.
Okay, turn on your cameras and stand by for a while waiting for the others. Okay. Okay, we're going to first page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kuya Romel. Thank you to, again, thank you to our speaker. Thank you to our participants. And again, Elle, over to you.
Thank you very much again, Ma'am Irish, for facilitating the discussion. And now, everybody, I bet you're very excited. We're down to one of the highlights of today's program. We'll be listening to what the participants and the student facilitators have learned from this project. We'll have one representative from the participants from UMY and MSU IIT, and one representative from the student participants from MSU IIT and UMY. And to start with, let's have Miss Anafi Ananda Octaria from UMY. Let's give her a virtual round of applause.
Thank you, Elle. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, I'm Anafi Ananda Octaria from Muhammadiyah Jakarta Junior High School, Indonesia. I would like to say thank you for Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology Philippines and UMY Indonesia that had collaborated on an extension and community service project. Project Lit had given benefit to both Filipino and Indonesian teachers, especially English teacher. We have learned many things in this project. Project Lead empower us as English teachers by enhancing linguistic skills, improving our English language pedagogical practices, and upgrading our competency in using technology in the classroom. We also learn how to design communicative and creative teaching on 4 language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Although Project Lead was online training, that means participants and facilitators didn't meet face-to-face directly, but we had good communication through Zoom and WA group. I hope there will be another webinar series like this with different topics, especially for English language teaching. Because as a teacher, we always need the newest knowledge to give best teaching for our students. Hopefully, the next webinar series can be done in blended learning, so Indonesian teachers can meet directly, discuss together, and still communicate with Filipino teachers through Zoom. I think it will help us to understand the material easily and finish group assignment better and on time. Then I wish we can collaborate with English teachers from other countries again, so we can share experiences in teaching English with them. It will be great, I think. So overall, I really love this Project Lead. Thank you so much, MSU IAT Philippines and UMY Indonesia. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Ms. Octaria. Thank you. And this time we'll have the representative from the student facilitator from UMY. Let's welcome Doni Akbar Fauzi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Doni Akbar Fauzi. I am the delegation from UMY student facilitator. Regarding the event of Project Lead between UMY and MSU IIT, first I'm gonna talk some appreciation regarding this project that really helpful for me and the teacher from Indonesia and Philippines. First, it came from my perspective that these events really helped me to use my English speaking skill that I rarely use in daily life, because every meeting we have to speak our dialogue through English to get the relevance to each other between Indonesian and Philippine facilitator and participant. So it really fresh to me to use English frequently like this that are rarely used in my daily life. And of course, I think it helped the other participant too to use English frequently at this moment. From the perspective of participant from Indonesian and Philippines, I think this event really helped them to regain new method of teaching, especially in English using technology, because every method that shows in this event is really amazing, awesome, and cool, I think. Especially that one when we can use a board game to teach English to actively speak through in the class. That's really awesome for me. And I think from my perspective only, it also helps the participant, because I already normal with technology. So the method that shows in this event is new to me. So I think for the teacher, it's also new to them too. It's refreshing. About some critic though, I think the main problem that I face with this program is the learning discussion. The question is too repetitive and the activity is also repetitive, even though it's helpful to gather them in one discussion forum to discussing about the project that they will create in that session. The overall format is too repetitive to repeat again and again. So I hope in the next event, maybe next year or next years forward, the project like this will happen again and with new format that refresh and advance also. Thanks. I think that's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Tony. And at this point in time, we'll be hearing some reflections coming from the representative from MSU IIT, from the participant, Mr. Ken Lodi Lugatiman.
Good afternoon, everybody. Magandang hapon to my Filipino classmates and salamat sore to my Indonesian classmates in this webinar. Language teaching covers 4 macro skills needed for communicating: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Language teachers plan lessons and sequences of lessons which include a mixture of all the macro skills rather than focusing in developing only one macro skill at a time. And with the efforts of our well-equipped speakers, facilitators, and project team leaders, both from the Philippines and Indonesia, this webinar series has encapsulated it all. It has truly been a privilege to work and learn through this platform in a sphere of dedicated and passionate educators. This month-long webinar has allowed us to look beyond the horizon and equipped us with skills and strategies needed for teaching the macro skills. We have fostered collaboration despite distance and other barriers. And to sum it all up, let me say that I have learned a lot from this webinar series and will always be grateful for this opportunity. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Sir Ken. And last but not least, let's listen to some reflections and takeaways from the representative from the student facilitators from MSU IIT, Ms. Aini Tabwa.
Thank you so much, Elle. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone, and happy 2022. I am Aini, a student facilitator from MSU IIT. First, I would like to extend my gratitude to all the people behind this project for coming up with these great ideas and for giving me an opportunity to be a student facilitator. For the past webinar meetings, I actually had a great time listening to each speaker, to every session. It was actually a very helpful and informative, and I am sure I will be able to utilize them in the near future, since I am an English language studies student. I was assigned to facilitate the cell number 4, and I'm grateful for meeting new friends, getting to know each other, sharing ideas, and also I'm grateful to facilitate the teacher participants. To be honest, at first, it was quite a challenge for me because I don't know how to approach them. And it's quite awkward that they are also calling me mom, and then I'm a student, and then I'm supposed to be calling them mom. But I think that's also like the webinar purpose. So there were times internet connection became a challenge, but still we found ways to keep interacting and made sure everyone is on the same track. I would like to share one of the story of the participants in my assigned cell who actually struggled to have a stable internet, but that didn't make her to quit and stop joining in the discussion. She still continued to ask for an update, and that's actually a good approach. You know, the efforts that we put into something will never be a waste. It's a benefit for her that she keeps on doing her tasks and asking for update and trying to approach each of us just to keep updated. Although we don't have control over others participants who didn't continue joining the cell discussion, maybe for personal reasons, yet I am sure that the sharing of ideas both from the main room and the breakout rooms help each and every one of us to gain new learnings. Especially Philippines and Indonesia have a different educational system, and it's really great that we both have a interesting sharing of approaches and ideas. So I would like to, I also highly appreciate the effort of everyone, the project organizers, the student facilitators, and the participants in order to make this a success. Although we kind of have a problem to the managing our time, but we still made this a success. So I won't make this any longer. Again, thank you so much to each and everyone, and I hope we continue learning and grabbing a great opportunities like this. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Aini. Thank you so much again to all the participants and the students, my co-students facilitators. And at this point in time, we're down to, I think, one of the most awaited part of this program, which is the presentation of certificates to the participants. And I won't hold you any longer for that. I'll give the floor to the students moderators or the program's moderator.
Okay, thank you, El Grace. So, Ms. Fitria, are we going to share the, thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the certificate presentations. We are going to read the participants, the name of the participants, and this is just the sample of the certificates The certificates of project lead is given to Ms. Nafi Restu Saputri. And then next, Ms. Peri Widayanti. Mr. Zaki Fatoni. Ms. Primaristuti Ikadewi. Ms. Anafi Ananda Oktaria. Ms. Amira Kusuma Ningtyas. Ms. Tri Hapsari Nugraheni. Ms. Fifi Fitrawati. Mr. Septi Winarto. Ms. Min Halani Alyani. Ms. Ratmi Larasati. Ms. Puji Anitasari. Ms. Primadina Cahyani. Mr. Louis James Gonzalez. Mr. Ken Claudie Lugatiman. Ms. Saima Musa Saripada. Ms. Johaira Daronimbang. Ms. Najmia Pendiaman. Ms. Cheryl Magbanua. Ms. Doris Jane Loma. Ms. Christy Mai Sistona. Ms. Kay Belga. Ms. May Ann Kamanan. Ms. Rachel Tan. And last but not least, Ms. Jacqueline Maneja. Congratulations to all participants. Well done, everybody. Thank you for your participations. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you very much, Miss Jackie. Thank you. Well, congratulations, everyone. That was a job well done. And at this point in time, I think that you're very much excited to see the video montage. And so now let's all watch it together. Thank you very much for that one. I hope no one's crying. Well, guys, this has been a wonderful journey with all of you. Thank you so much and congratulations, everybody. And I think we're down to the official closing part of this program. And to give us the ways forward and to finally close this project lit, let's hear a closing remarks from one of MSU IIT's facilitators, Miss Lynn Rose Jane Janon. Let's give her a virtual round of applause.
Thank you so much, Il Grace, and good afternoon, everyone. I think it's a tough task, to close this event, and and also to cut this part to come after that montage, like inviting us to look back, with what has, has happened the last year with the engagements that we had. So again, greetings of peace to everyone. Happy New Year. Salamat siang. Salamat tahun baru. I hope I got that right. But I'm happy to be joining you all again and to be giving this closing remarks on behalf of the MSU IIT team and in behalf of the Project Lit team in general. So Project Lit, language, instruction, and technology, empowering teachers to contextualize English language teaching. A lot of big words, right? And we started and we spent a lot of time, I think more than 2 months to unpack all these huge words that we put in our title and in the program that you've received in the invitation. But if you define lit, right? It could mean, if you look at the dictionary, it could mean having been ignited, or it could mean providing with light or illuminating or illuminated. For the millennials, right, we use lit. That's so lit, right? So we use the word lit to mean fire or dope or awesome or cool, right? And we named the project not just because it represents language, instruction, and technology, but it also because it represents what we envision this program to be, what this engagement is for to all the participants, not just the participants, but to the facilitators and also the organizers in general. So we want us language teachers to be cool and awesome. And how do we define that? And that's articulated in the objectives of the program. First, to be cool and awesome language teacher, we need to have positive attitude towards language teaching. Second, we need to have enhanced linguistic competence to teach the 4 macro skills of the language. We need to have improved English language pedagogical practices. They would say that, it's not an assurance that we know the language, that we can teach the language well, right? So we really need to learn how do we transform, simplify this, but not in the simplistic way, simplifies it in a way that it will be digestible to our students. And the last is to be cool and awesome language teacher, we need to have improved self-esteem towards the integration of technology in language classrooms. And we have a session that talks about that. And during our opening session, when I was preparing for this part, I was looking back to our program and how we designed it. During our opening program 2 months ago, last year, we started with these questions. How has the language teaching learning landscape changed? What do teachers need to adapt to these changes? And if you look at these 2 questions, these are questions of how we sustain being lit, being awesome and cool language teachers amidst the constantly and rapidly changing learning environment and the global changes that we are, collectively facing. Students are not, as mentioned by Ma'am Ami earlier in her presentation, students are not the only ones navigating in unfamiliar contexts. Teachers are also navigating in unfamiliar contexts. But unfamiliarity, though, may cause unwanted anxieties in the process. I know some of the teachers can agree or can relate to that. But these unfamiliar contexts and unfamiliar terrains, they're also fertile ground for learning and innovation. And I think that is one of the things that we have embraced in this program, learning together, creating a community that we can hold on to when things becomes confusing, when we don't know how to use Padlet, when how we use all these new novel confusing technologies that we are forced to use because of the pandemic that we're facing, for instance. So as we close this activity, we really emphasized, and we had a session defining characteristics of a teacher leader, a visionary leader. Because as we move forward and bring our light, hoping that it is even brighter now with the engagements that we had, bringing it back to our classrooms, bringing it back to our workstations. And the skills, of being a teacher leader is what a transformative classroom needs. So it's not an accident that we had this closing program highlighting a keynote speech on, being teacher leader. So we end this activity, I guess, looking back with a grateful heart to the people who made this event happen, to the Department of Extension of MSUIIT, to the Dean of our college who joined us today, Ma'am Rohani, thank you so much. Also to the administration of MSUIIT who supported us from the very start, from the inception of this project until the end. And also with the project team headed by Ma'am City, we have Ma'am Mercy, we have Ma'am Irish, and together with our student facilitators in MSUIIT, it has been, I think, a wonderful learning experiences for everyone. Thank you for being part of this, for saying yes, and for making this a relevant engagement. And also similarly to Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, UMY, we built beautiful friendships with a series of Zoom calls that we've had, from the planning to crafting the program to implementing. And I think it is a beautiful experience, more than finishing the program. The kind of relationship, the kind of social connection that we have nurtured in the process of creating the program is one of the excellent wins of these types of engagement, which actually highlights the value, the value of collaboration, that we can achieve more and do more if we collaborate with people within our field. And also, most importantly, I would like to highlight and thank all the teacher participants who joined us, who sustained, who are here despite all the requirements, the challenges of the technologies. And thank you for saying yes, and thank you for being open to learning new things. And also thank you for the trust, and for trusting that this is a safe space to also share your experiences, and to also share your challenges in your classrooms and the best practices as well. And also the student facilitators from UMY, thank you so much. We hope, or we wish in MSUIIT that we could host you, and it would be, and thank you for making this a meaningful experience as well. And also to the administration of UMY for supporting this program from the very start until the end. So I think my part is more of thinking and just expressing gratitude to all people who made this event successful, and who made this activity initiative a reality. But also looking back, like what I said, we end this activity looking back with a grateful heart to the people who made this happen, and also looking forward to doing more and being more as individual teachers in our classrooms, and also as one community, as we move forward. And I think this may end the intervention, the training, but this is a beginning of more collaborations, maybe research or extension, both from MSUIIT's part and UMY as well. And we will be creating as well a Facebook or a WhatsApp group, a social media group with everyone, so that we can create a community of practice. Sharing continues, conversation continues, and when things are better, when we have opportunities to gather together face to face, and I think we will be grabbing that opportunity, and we look forward to another and more engagements with everyone. So in behalf of MSUIIT and Project Lit in general, thank you so much for being part of this initiative, and we look forward to doing more and with you all. So again, this is Lynn Rose, and I pass it back to El Grace. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am, Lynn Rose. And again, thank you very much, everybody. I hope nobody's crying. Well, that's just it, ladies and gentlemen. Project Lit has officially closed, or has been officially closed and officially ended. Well, this isn't goodbye. I think this means see you again, hopefully in Indonesia soon. This has been El Grace Fuentes, your Masters of Ceremony. Thank you very much. Keep safe, y'all. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, El Grace. Thank you, everybody. Hi, Miss Lindros. Hi,
Ami.
Thank you.
Congratulations, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Sing along to Elton John and to that feeling we're just getting started. When the nights get colder and the rhythm's got you falling behind, just dream about that moment when you look yourself right in the eye. Then you say, I wanna dance. The music's got me going and nothing that can stop how we move. Yeah, let's make a place and live just like we're golden and rolling like we're dancing fools. We don't need to worry, just when we fall we know how to land. Don't need to talk the talk, just walk the walk tonight. 'Cause we don't need permission to dance. There's always something that's standing in the way, but if you don't let it phase you, you know just how to bridge us with the right vibe, yeah. 'Cause there's no looking back, there ain't no one to prove we don't got this on lock, yeah. The wait is over, the time is not, so let's do it right. Yeah, we'll keep going and stay up until we see the sun rise. And we say, I wanna dance. The music's got me going and nothing that can stop how we move. Yeah, let's break our plans and leave just like we're golden and rolling like we're dancing fools. We don't need to worry, 'cause where we fall we know how to land. Don't need to talk the talk, just walk the walk tonight. 'Cause we don't need permission to dance. No, we don't need permission to dance. Well, let me show you that we can keep the fire alive. 'Cause it's not over till the summer. Say one more time. Say, I wanna dance. The music's got me going. Nothing that can stop how we move. Hey, let's break our plans and live just like we're golden and rolling like we're dancing fools. Like we're dancing fools. We don't need to worry, 'cause when we fall we know how to land. Don't need to talk the talk, just walk the walk tonight. 'Cause we don't need permission to dance. It's the thought of PM when your heart's just like a drum, beating louder with nowhere to guard it. When it all seems like it's wrong, sing along. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire, set the night light.